All right, we're back with Terrell. Let's talk about where we just left off, which is these folks coming out of law enforcement got a ton of great skills, a lot of hard skills and some soft skills too. I won't deny them that. But some of the things we were just talking about are kind of key. And if they could put some of these key terms into their vocabulary when they're in the resume writing stage or when they're in the interview stage, I think that'll help them a lot. So let's talk about finance, right? We want people to have a good understanding of, hey, you might have a budget to manage. What does that mean? What does that look like when, if you're coming out and you are a patrol sergeant or a detective lieutenant or something, you maybe haven't managed a budget. What does that mean? What kind of things should they be thinking about, or what kind of vocabulary could they have that will help them, kind of get past those interviews and the resume?
And for me, honestly, it started off in the contract realm. And I know that some people are going straight into some of these higher management positions, but I can only talk like what I went through. I literally started off by doing scheduling and understanding what the difference is between a pay rate and a bill rate and figuring out what percentage of that is. If you can start to just literally start right there, what
Yeah.
your officers are or how that's tiered and ranked, and understanding like where are uniforms coming from? Is it direct bill, or is it a part of or is it a part of that markup? It's
You
like
got to understand the
what's a
contract.
markup?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like understand the contract. It's like there's so many different areas. When you just talk about financing, are you talking about just, hey, is it my contractor's budget? Is it my vendor's budget or my integrator's budget? Is it um, my swag budget if
Yeah.
you're lucky enough to have swag?
Yeah.
And it's like, how do those mesh all together? How do you move that P up? It's like you only have one P. You think you got like 10 million inside there, but you make it rattle. But at the end of the day, it's just by starting off slow. Just get with someone, get with the get with your accountant. It's like, hey, can you tell me the difference between a spreadsheet and how the spreadsheet works? Or can you tell me the difference between variable and non-variable cost? Or just reach out to yourself or reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to get nerdy into, hey, these are things you should look for. These are things that sometimes contractors will do. Honestly, like we was talking about earlier, starting on that contract side really helped me when I landed to this side and we were talking about, it's like, hey, when I see a markup that's above 45% and you're direct billing me, where are you hiding all that fluff?
Yeah.
I'm paying for it directly. It's like, so where are you hiding that at? So yeah, just ask questions. And then it goes literally back to that concept. Say yes. Hey, do you want to work on payroll for a while? Yep, I'll work on payroll. Let me figure this out. Let me figure out how that works and what's on the backside and how spreadsheet works or how Win Team works or how Safes works and all those different tools that you might see if you're on the contract side getting ready to jump over onto the corporate side.
And going through a proposal process, I mean, unless you're in-house, you don't really get the experience unless you're in on the vendor side or on the contractor side. You know, looking at those contracts and looking at the agreement and treating the customer like they should be treated, and going through that process for me was very enlightening. I learned a ton about what our folks could and couldn't do. Billable overtime versus non-billable overtime. What does that mean? Vehicles. We talked about uniforms. Who's bringing the uniform? Is that going to be part of the contract, or is that going to be, you know? So, you did that. You got that opportunity to actually go through probably several of those. Do you think that contributed to your success as a leader and your as a good experience?
Oh no, it definitely did because, like I tell some of my providers now, hey, treat me like I know nothing. One of the reasons why I hired you is because you're the SME in security. You're going to be dealing with other partners and you're going to have insight to how they do it. And I always want to at least do it as good, if not better. But then I always end with also know that I also did your job. So don't try to hide stuff.
Yeah.
I know where you can hide all those things, but if you have never had the opportunity to work on that vendor side, or if you're running right into management, that's one of the reasons why you hire a vendor or a contractor, is because they are the subject matter expert when it comes to not only security, but when it comes to that. And just sit down, it's like, look, teach me, help me help you. Where do you need help at, or to be unblocked, so that, hey, at the end of the day, they're there to make money. So we want to make sure that we are providing them with what they need to put the right people in place on our site, so that we can move forward and be a value add to our company. So don't feel free, or don't think that it's beneath you to reach out to your contractor and it's like, hey, explain the budget to me. Explain why this is here. Break this cost down for me. I'm not trying to take advantage of you. I'm trying to understand, because if I understand, and going back to that saying yes, having a understanding of how things works will help you be better partners. At least I think so.
I totally agree, and I think that's a good approach. You're sometimes when you go into a new organization, you absorb whatever was there, what was in place, contracts that were existing or legacy, and so on. And if you don't go in there and try and seek out where you're spending money, the corporate leadership is expecting that you understand what your spend is, even though you just got there. So asking for those contracts, talking to your vendors and all your vendors, as many as possible, going in there. When I joined the private sector, I had a legacy vendor, and I needed to understand what was going on with them. And so I really, to your point, I looked for mentors that could help walk me through that process. Some were vendors and some were in-house folks. But you got to put yourself kind of open and be humble and be like, yeah, I'm new here, so I have to learn. But don't wait too long. Don't wait years down the road to when everybody's like, I thought you had a handle on this. Why is this something that's new to you, right? So going in there early and often, asking questions, and maybe not giving a lot of answers up front, or not speaking up front much. Just absorb it. Ray O'Hara has a 30-60-90 plan. Burn in over those 90 days. And so I totally agree with you. I think it's a great process to do. What do you think? I get a lot of questions about people talk about their education and their certifications and all this stuff that's going on out there in regards to learning. What's your thoughts on that? How do they learn, or how can they be prepared before they come out? Do you recommend anything in particular?
So for me, it literally is baptism by fire. It's
Oh,
just getting in there
there
and
you go.
doing.
Yeah.
But also, I'm one of those type of people that I learn through doing. For others, education is great. We were talking about ASIS a little bit earlier, and getting your PSP or getting your CPP or the different the different types of skills that they offer at that level. But to be very honest, I right now I'm working on my bachelor's. I jumped straight into law enforcement, and then I went straight from law enforcement into security when I came out, and then just took that train. And honestly, what got me here was just that I wasn't afraid to say yes, and I wasn't afraid to step outside of the comfort zone, so I could speak intelligently as I'm in these meetings. Kind of like you said, just sitting back and just listening. Just having a seat at the table sometimes presents opportunities to learn. And then when you can sit and regurgitate it, and you have a clear understanding of what people are looking for and how to present it in a way where your intent and your impact aligns with the overall company goal and message, it helps you tremendously. So everybody's going to take a different path. My path just happens to be where I'm getting the education on the back end, but I'm still learning with feet on the ground at the same time.
What do you think is the one thing, we're almost out of time here. What do you think, so I'll give you the last word, the one thing that they could do in their transition that would make them successful in the private sector?
No ego. We talked about this last time, and I can jump in this. I know we don't have a lot of time,
Yeah,
but leave the chevrons and the stripes and the bars at home, because when you come over here, it's not about enforcement. It's about how you partner. It's literally about how you may sometimes have to say no, but I tell them, it's like, we say no, but you always have other options out there. So, I mean, because we don't want to compromise security overall for the safety of our assets, our people, and our assets and our reputation. But we also need to have the ability to say yes or give another option. But literally, drop the ego. It's like, at the end of the day, it may have gotten you to the table, but you have to present, and you have to do something different, because what got you to the table isn't going to help you with your career.
Totally agree. Elena Forrest says, hang the captain's bars on the hook and leave them at home. And, that's, be humble. I totally agree with you. Humble is the best way to go. Going in there with ego or arrogance, never a good option. Terrell, thank you very much, buddy, for being here. I really love having you on the show. Can people reach out to you and connect with you on LinkedIn and stuff and ask questions if they have them?
Yeah, definitely. Just look me up on LinkedIn. I'm the only person out there. No, I'm not the only person out there, like Terrell Brown. But
Easy to find.
you see this mug. Just go ahead and hit connect. I always try to respond back. So I just try to help people as best as possible, because someone helped me. So that's the least I can do.
I totally agree, man. Everything is about network, and so happy to have you in my network. And other folks, make sure you're connecting with us. Make sure you're sharing this. Make sure you're liking and commenting on this below. Don't go it alone. There are folks like us out there that we're happy to help you and give you some guidance. But this is a team event. We want you in the private sector. We need you in the private sector, and we want you to be successful. So thank you again, Terrell. Appreciate it, buddy, and some great advice from you. I really do appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.